welcome to my comfy corner. Today I'm sharing some fun facts about my books, what inspires me, what I'm like when I write, um, what I write, and a little about my delusions and how they have shaped my life. I put a lot of myself in my books, and I'm so excited to tell you all about it. I literally made a list so I don't forget anything. So let's start with my books, what I write, and where I get my inspiration from. Most of my books are romance, though I'm also trying other genres right now, like I'm planning a mystery. But anyway, like many writers, I get my inspiration for my male characters from my celebrity crush. Yes, I'm coming clean. My celebrity crush is Noah Beck. And listen, it's not just about his looks. I focus on his personality. He seems kind, gentle, thoughtful, and that's what inspires the way I write my male characters. And I also love that about him. I admit, I also use him as an inspiration for how my male characters look, their hair, their eyes, their style. If I ever met him, I would probably trip over my own feet. But my characters never do. So, okay, moving on. Now I want to tell you a fun fact about me. I actually have an alter ego that comes out when I write. My alter ego's name is Catherine. When I write, it feels like I become someone completely different. People who know me wouldn't expect me to write romance or know where I get some of the ideas for my books or how I even know to write about certain things. For reference, I've never had a boyfriend, I've never had my first kiss. But when Catherine takes over, all of a sudden I'm exploring feelings I have never experienced. Some people ask me, how do you know what to write if you haven't experienced it? It's called imagination. It's funny because in real life I'm super shy, but if you read my books, you would never guess it. So, how did it all start? Let me tell you about how I began writing my books and why I chose to self publish. I started writing my first book in my second month at university um, during lectures on my phone. After I dropped out a few months later, I kept going and finished all my books by July. I self publish on Amazon because I like to have full control. I write, revise, make the covers, and own all the rights. Some people suggested translating my books in other languages, and at first, Mm, I wasn't so sure. But then someone warned me that a book uh, could be translated without my approval and I might not like it. And that made me think a lot. But then I realized even translations would need my approval because I own the rights. And that's another reason why self publishing is perfect for me. One thing you should know about me is that I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to my books, and that sometimes comes with challenges. What I mean by that, I spend hours editing and revising chapters, sometimes finishing at 2 a.m. the next day. What really annoys me is when people come and judge my books without even reading them first, or even doubting that I'm writing my books. I just think read first, then have an opinion. Like, yeah, I understand if you put something out publicly and you become like a public person, you have to expect judgment. But don't come to me and judge me based on something you don't know about. Okay, let's go to something else. Writing isn't just about editing, it's also about imagination. So, let me tell you how I see my stories in my mind. When I write, I literally see images in my mind, like the characters, the scenes, everything. I think this comes from reading at a very young age. Also, being a music lover, I associate characters, scenes, everything with songs, which is why every book I write has its own playlist. Anyway, let's get back to writing. I wrote my first creative piece in, I think, sixth grade, then took a break until 11th grade. That's when I really started writing, and that's when my creativity began. Okay, so now about my first series of books. When I started writing, I only had one book in mind. Then my ideas multiplied, and I was like, I don't want my book to look like a dictionary. I mean, come on, even I wouldn't read it if it looked like that. So that's why I decided to turn my ideas into a trilogy. I guess one idea just wasn't enough for me, and I like to make things fun. I published my first book in February 2025, the second in May of the same year, and the third a few months later in July. The first person I told about my books was my best friend. Then later I told another friend, and she told me to publish because at first I wasn't so sure if I want to publish them. And now my books are on Wattpad for online reading and on Amazon as paperbacks. Now I want to talk to you about something a little different. My delusions and how they have actually shaped parts of my life. I truly believe in positive delusions. If you act like something is already yours, it can actually happen. My best example is my best friend, the one I mentioned earlier. The friend I started talking to in 11th grade. And we met online, and I literally imagined us being friends. And he didn't agree at first, but 3 years later, here we are. And that's manifestation. Am I delusional about meeting Noah Beck? Oh, absolutely. I believe it will happen. I just trust the universe to make it work. So that's a little look into my world as a writer, a creator, and even as a person, because if you put all these versions together, it's me. Before we finish, I want to share a little advice for anyone chasing their dreams. My advice for you is, if you really want something, be a little delusional about it. And I'm not kidding. Act like it's already yours and believe in it. You might be surprised at what actually happens. If you have any questions or want to know more, leave them in the comments and I'll see you next time.